2003. We were at the Clugston
Senior Citizens Apartment.
Clugston Hotel Senior Citizens Apartments in Columbia City, Indiana. And we're interviewing Keith Kissinger, who was born on October 25th, 1929. He currently lives on Chauncey Street at the Clugston Apartments in Columbia City, Indiana. Keith served in the Army from 1951 to late 1952, and he achieved the rank of Private E2. Keith, were you drafted, and where were you living at the time?
I was drafted, yes, and I was living at 416 East Van Buren Street, on corner of Madison in Columbia City, Indiana at the time. I was drafted in they told me to report in January the 19th, 1951 to Indianapolis, where I went from there to Camp Breckenridge, Kentucky, where we had our boot camp at Camp Breckenridge. And I was there until June of 1951, at which time we were given orders that we were to go to Germany. And about everyone in our outfit was so happy we could scream, because we didn't have to go to Korea. We didn't know at the time, though, that Germany was not going to be no picnic either. I remember from boot camp that we had to spend a lot of time climbing up and down hills. There was one particular hill that was called 808, and it went straight up. It was no slope or anything. It went straight up, and it was, well, wasn't much fun climbing that hill, believe me, but we made it, and I guess it helped us a lot in later time, because it did make us disciplined. I really thought with discipline in school, but when I got to the Army, I found we were even disciplined more. But I think it helped in the long run. Then we went to Europe, and we arrived after we had a 21-day furlough. We went to Camp Kilmer, New Jersey, where we arrived about the 3rd of July, 1951, and we had about 3 weeks there. So the first day there was July the 4th, and they didn't have any personnel or anything there, so they all gave us a pass. And so most of us went to New York. First time I ever got to see New York. A bunch of us went to see the Yankees play Washington. Because I don't like the Yankees, and the Washington won a doubleheader, me and my buddies from Chicago at the time were very happy. We spent 3 weeks at Camp Kilmer, and we sailed from Camp Kilmer on July the 24th. We left Camp Kilmer and arrived in Brentenhauben, Germany on August the 4th, from which we were assigned to different divisions. And we were assigned to the 4th Infantry Division. Now, I actually entered the 4th Infantry Division in the 8th Infantry Regiment. I was only there a few months, and they decided to segregate the divisions. So they sent some of the whites from the 8th Infantry Division to the 22nd Infantry Division, and they sent some of the blacks from the 22nd Infantry to the 8th and 12th Infantry Divisions, to the regiments, so that the division would be more integrated instead of segregated. So I spent most of my time in the 22nd Infantry Division. And I remember our captain of our 22nd Infantry was Captain Bull. And we all liked Captain Bull very much. Most of our job over there, most time, we were the border patrol. We spent time out on the border along the Berlin, on the western side of Germany, where the Russians were on the eastern side of Germany. And the wall hadn't been built yet. I'm not sure what year that wall was built, but the city was divided, half by the communists and half by us. And it was our job to prevent the western half from being invaded by the Russians. They had been our buddies during the war, but now we were in a Cold War with them. We were not exactly getting along, and we didn't want the communists to have that whole country. Now, the German people were very, very cooperative with us. I thought maybe they were being hateful toward us because of the fact that we were, had been there in World War and time. But believe it or not, most of the German people actually were the ones, they accused Hitler. They did not like Hitler. They blamed Hitler for the destruction of their country, not the American people. And so I met a couple families there whom I became very good friends with, and I got to go down near about Kissingen, where my ancestors came from, and I really enjoyed my time over there when I had the time to see the country. But it wasn't all in fun. We had to do our duties of guarding the border. We had got on field patrol quite a bit, and we had to make sure that the country was safe. We had engineers over there too at the time. The engineer battalions at the time were reconstructing some of the bridges and stuff across the rivers that would have been destroyed during the war. They were still there doing that. And we were the German economy. That's why they were good to us. Without us, they would have been so poor, it would have been unbelievable how poor they were at the time. People lived in shacks. They still had outhouses, most of them. They didn't have indoor plumbing. Except unless there was a tavern or a restaurant, or some of the people did have a living on. But they were always happy. They would have October. I remember going to an Oktoberfest both month time I was over there, and what they call a German festival, and they would dance all night. Believe me, they would dance. Well, they danced till the beer ran out. Most of them. But they had fun, and they were very happy that we were there because we were helping them out. So I enjoyed my time over there when I could, and I thought we were doing over there for a purpose, which I feel that we obviously eventually wound up accomplishing. And so when I finally heard that the wall that they had constructed and then tore down and the country had reunited, I was very happy because it made me feel that my time of service over there really was worthwhile.
Keith, what did you do after you returned from Germany?
Well, for the first few months, I just relaxed and enjoyed myself because I knew I had 2 checks coming from the government in both January and February. And eventually I went to work for the woolen mill in Columbia City at the time, and they went out of, and then they closed, and I later went to Bluebell, and they moved, but also during that period of time, we started the Little League baseball program here. Mr. Kilby, which was my teacher and coach in 1948, came here when I left my last year here. Started the Little League baseball program, and I helped him for 26 summers as umpiring and helping the Little League baseball program. I also refereed some basketball games, and then eventually went to work for the city, where I stayed until I retired here in '94. But I'll never forget my days in the 4th Infantry Division. I understand they're in Kuwait now, and I wish them all the luck in the world.